Well, it's a good evening from the studios of Radio FM88, and it's a nice new 2026. Now, Zoe is a co-host who's from northern New South Wales. She's reported in Crook today. And so you've got myself and our guest, Kelli, who Zoe's organised. And I've had a chat with Kelli this afternoon. I'm looking forward to it. And so without further ado, it's a good evening to you, Kelli.
Oh, thank you. Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so first of all, I'm normally the person who sits in the background and puts all the stuff up in the background there, like this. Yeah, so it's awkward to sort of be running the show and also do all the, what do you call it, all the content that's coming up on the show. So anyway, Kelli, if Zoe's got you invited on the show, then there's a reason for it. And I know that for a fact that Zoe's really off the grid. She likes to be building up community and
Yes.
And that networking of working together. So that's what's inspired her to get hold of you, and I'm there for you as well. So, okay, so when I went to school, all these kids used to tell me what they're going to be when they grow up.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, I still got no idea what I'll do when I grow up. So how did you fall into this fantastic concept of bringing people together?
Well, the long story or the short story, it really happened in 2001 during COVID. And I discovered people were, I guess, seeking. There was a bit of chaos happening, and people were looking, okay, what's I need direction. And my mind went back to growing up in Northern Rivers of New South Wales, and my parents moved us up there when I was only 1, and for the purpose of becoming self-reliant on their own property. And they really knew nothing. They were city folk who thought we'll give a hand at farming and those kinds of things, and they made terrible mistakes. One of the times they had a steer, and my dad thought, you know what, we'll kill it for our meat, and he strung it up and punctured it in just the wrong place, and poo spurted out all over him. So he made terrible mistakes, and my mother made bread from scratch and would often burn it, and they'd kill our own chickens for meat, and I would never eat them. But I learned from a very young age what it looks like to be self-reliant and how important that was. And so, fast forward now, like the weather events and people, being flooded in, and it reminded me of those days back in Lismore being flooded in, and how much safer you feel when you are prepared. And so I started doing podcasts like this and teaching people about self-reliance and food preparation, food storage. And then when I ran out of things to teach people, I then started interviewing others. So I've been doing that for 4 years, and we have our show on a Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Sydney time. And I interview people like yourself, who are up to things and self-reliance. So that's kind of how it got started anyways.
True. So I'll just bring up your website again. Okay, so you had this big event there in October, it's actually north of Sydney, isn't it? If I'm not mistaken, by Dural, isn't it? Is that right?
Yeah. We had our third event in this spot, which was a lovely spot, beautiful for camping and holding these great events. And it was our third one, our Freedom Summit, and it was so wonderful. Speakers, stall holders, campers. We have, I don't know what you're looking at now.
It's from Pinterest, yeah.
And Yeah, so we've done a few of those now. We started online, doing online summits, but then we went into person and getting people together in person. So it's been lots of fun over the years.
So come back to this one here, 2025. So everybody could just come either with a mobile home or a camper van or a tent and just build up that community spirit. I mean, it takes me back to Scouting Day.
Yeah. Well, it's the, flushing toilets and showers, we didn't want to be too rough on them, but no, it was just a beautiful opportunity for people to come together, learn about what it is that we do in My Self Reliance, and what you're looking at there. We actually cover off what we call the PrEP matrix. So we cover off the 8 key pillars of self-reliance. So that's food, finances, health, relationships, education, technology, communication, and faith. And so they're the 8 key pillars. And so we have a speaker from covering off each of those things at the Freedom Summit. So yeah, you're just having a good old play around on the website. There's lots of beautiful things. We're very holistic in the way that we approach. So mindset as well, and getting people off to a great start to the year and to their day. This is what I also train on.
All right. So members of the family, how did they respond to your thriving get up and go and let's have a go?
Well, you know what? I have 4 brothers, 3 that are older and 1 that's younger, and they virtually don't know what I do. I don't really tell them a whole lot because, they have different memories of growing up on the farm, and they're maybe not that inclined now to want to be self-sufficient, but I think they quietly, secretly cheer me on. My brothers were never my biggest fans, but for me, community is everything, and I think maybe sisterhood is super important because it's what I lacked growing up, really.
I'll tell you what I was really taken by is this 72-hour checklist. Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's a must. Anybody who's watching the show, I really honestly believe, you should jump in and either join or actually download this. This is very important. I mean, as you mentioned before, with the floods and with drought, when things become a bit intangible and you can't get to the so-called universal shop, whether it be Woolworths or Coles or whatever it is, Aldi, you have to rely on your neighbours. But this here is a very important list that it should be in everybody's home, eh?
Oh, 100%. And this is a free downloadable. So, yeah, go ahead and grab that. And it's got a really well thought out list of, and most of the things people can go, search around your home, put it together in a kit. We've done some training on this. So on my YouTube channel, there's you can go back and watch the video on what's important. What do you get together first? A really good backpack is what I recommend. And then getting these items together and having them as a grab and go bag, one for each person in the family, and with some clothing in there as well, change it over seasonally. But some food basics, but it's called we grew up with it called a 72-hour kit, because if you can survive the first 72 hours of any major event, then you set yourself up for really good survival. Whereas most people are scrounging in that time.
Sure. And what about cash? Is that important to have?
Yes, yeah, and that's one of the things on the list. And also documents, like in either printed off documents or USB in a sealed bag, and cash to have on hand. Absolutely, as much as you can put away, and but beyond what you're setting aside, it's the conversations that you have as well with people. So one of the things that I like people to remember is having your 5 go-to people. Okay, where are you going to go if you can't stay in your home? That's in walking distance. Where are you going to go that's in maybe a bike ride distance? Where are you going to go that's in that, if that local area is no good, you need to have another source of place that you can stop, friends. So 5 friends that live like between locally and then interstate that you can go to, and that you've communicated with your family members. These are our go-to people, should you need it.
Sure. Yeah. Most people who I've come across in my years of travel have always had this idea of community and setting up a community and getting property and setting up habitual habitat dwellings and all that stuff. And of course, where you are in northern New South Wales is probably one of the very rare shires that allows for multiple occupancy, as opposed to other councils around Australia.
Well, and so just to backtrack on that, we moved to the Northern Rivers when I was really young, but I only stayed there until I was 12, and then we moved back to the city. So I then grew up in the city and it was only 12 months ago that I actually moved out onto property where I am now. I'm 3 hours north of Sydney, and we are on 30 acres and really, getting into that lifestyle again. And where we are, we have glamping accommodation, and do retreats and things. And so we're really well set up in this community. But the Northern Rivers, they've really got something going on there where they're very the council up there, like you said, is switched on, and maybe that's why they get hammered so much with weather events and whatnot. But no, I not everyone can live out on property, or can afford to get out of their situation that doesn't allow for space and dwelling. But we are in the process of setting up hubs all over Australia with My Self Reliance and other connected communities, so that people can get resources that cover off those 8 key pillars within their local area. And that's what I do now, is just support people in having those resources.
There's a number of people who I've met over the years, and one of them was don't bank the cash, was a philosophy in small communities. So that because generally speaking, a lot of people who have been doing the nomads around Australia would find that when you got power outages and all that stuff, and you come to a service station, you can't get any fuel until the electricity comes back on, or a generator gets started, or you got a hand pump. And cash seems to be king when you're traveling around Australia.
Yes, exactly. And we're going to find that out more and more, how important the cash is. And I've also branched out. I didn't believe it for a little while, but having a bit of precious metals can be also helpful. And yeah, there's a few different ways that you can shore up your finances. But absolutely, having cash in your pocket is going to really stand you in good stead in an emergency.
So when it comes to hubbing, I'm of a thought there that Rotary, for example, was an organisation that sort of generated around Australia and in New Zealand, and the International Rotary. But to become a member of Rotary, you had to come from a different industry to other members of the organisation. So they had this huge community based of professional people and tradies, and so they could actually work with each other. That concept's still around, but what I've noticed is that whether it's Apex or Lions or in the case of Rotary, we don't seem to see anyone younger than 50.
Mm.
Generation that's gone through and that sort of networking. But I would suggest to you that you're probably the generation that's saying, excuse me, we used to do this, but hey, let's do it this way. And you get the youngers and you can use the actual internet and social media to actually galvanize and bring people together. It seems to be your way is the new way of doing it.
Yeah. And we hope so. We hope that we generate new, younger people. And that's why when we have our big events, we make it fun as well and make it about the music because it attracts the younger group. But there's also some flexibility in the hubs that we're creating. You don't have to have a particular kind of background to join our hubs. It can be anyone from any walk of life, but we utilize it, everyone's skills, and we recommend that if you're coming in and you feel like you don't have any skills to offer, we actually will run courses and programs to bring people up to speed on those things. And because that, everyone pitching in and offering their services is really where it's at,
Yeah. I mean, obviously we've got Queensland Country Women's Association. I mean,
Yes.
New Zealand's got its own network. The UK's got its own. They make their social calendars come out once a year as a fundraiser. But so do you actually work in with the Queensland, or like in your case there in New South Wales, Country Women's?
We haven't. I guess we haven't really reached out to those kinds of commercial communities. I want to think that we're a little bit different to those because we're really grassroots in terms of what we're all about, what we're offering. There's another community in Queensland that have reached out, and so we're partnering, and also Victoria partnering other communities. Because the kinds of things that we're doing within our hubs is really going back to basics a lot, sourcing food that's clean and has, looking at where teaching people about food storage and so we haven't really tapped into the Country Women's Associations as much. Zoe found me somehow. She's a part of various networks of people and in the Northern Rivers there. And so she tapped into what we were doing and liked what we were up to. And then Zoe and I got to know each other more in depth through a program that I run, a morning method. It's like how to start your day with a power hour to get the most out of your day. And so I call that Jigsaw. And it's the 6 things that you do to start your morning and have the best possible day. And so when you have you set yourself up with your mindset first and pay attention to the things that are important to you, then you can really create the kind of life that you really want. And so, sometimes, and the reason we do that, a lot of people wake up to their screens and start responding to what's going on in their inbox, and so, when we push that aside for a moment and just respond to the things that we want to create in our life, then that's what I teach people is, like in a year from now, what do you want to have happening in your world? And so it starts with today. Let's look at how we're starting the day.
Yeah. The reason what the Queensland Country Women's Association, or any one of those women, they teach young girls how to cook. So,
yes, that's right. Yes, they're very good.
And do crochet and knitting and sewing and all that stuff. So,
yeah, great skills.
Yeah, and of course the old apprentices, where the young boys learn how to plumbing or electrical, mechanical. Those are all the grassroots stuff in it. But you got to bring people together. So in order to do that, I take my hat off to you to really get out there and launch. Well, it's got to be done, mate, isn't it? You just can't rely on the government.
You can't, no, and that's really the point, is getting off the system in terms of our food, our finances, our technology. So we're really we're getting off the grid in a lot of ways, and that way we get to have a say of our future and create maybe parallel systems for doing things. 1 foot in, 1 foot out kind of a situation.
Pokey and we turn around.
That's right. That's
good. And so anybody watching and listening to the show, I've put up the website there, but they can reach out to you and you can actually advise where there's other potential hubs wherever they are in Australia, I take it.
Yes, and we communicate a lot on Telegram. So usually people come across us. I am on social media with Instagram and Facebook and things, but it tends to be we kind of live a little bit on Telegram with our groups and our hubs. So that's where I send out most of our information and people can find out more about us. So yeah, we like that as a platform.
All right, just get that thing up again. Here we go. Go back to here. Okay, so they can see all that. There's your website there. And,
yes. Yeah, okay. And I have some really great videos up there. Some videos on the website will take you to our YouTube channel with all the great interviews, and you get to see what we're all about. So that's our event in October. 3 amazing days.
Yeah.
So we like to promote people with businesses in the community as well, and these are people who have teaching people the basics, and so we like to support those businesses. That directory there is wonderful. You can flick through and find the people who we support.
And how did they come knocking on your door? I mean, if you've got Zoe come knocking on your door, how do you get these particular speakers? Because there's quite a lot of keynote speakers there from different fields of endeavour, eh?
Yeah, that's right. Yes, and so some of them I've searched out. Some of them someone else has introduced me to them, and somehow word of mouth, we usually find each other, and it's wonderful.
Great. And have you created a seed bank of any attitude?
What's that word you're saying? A seed bank? A seed
bank. Yeah. Have you created a seed bank of sorts?
Oh, a seed bank. Yes. 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 Starting to now create our own from our own produce and planting. Yes. But there's a great list of where you can get heritage seeds from, and people who are doing that. So I support other people who have been doing it longer than me, and I don't have enough that I can share, but I do absolutely recommend. Even the Diggers Club, they do a good one, and there's a whole list of people where you can get seeds from heritage seeds.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And you got people who obviously do the syntropic farming and biodynamic farming, and we talk about the mycelium networks. And
so we actually started off in the early days. We would do 3 days of permaculture, And so that's one of the first things we did was roll out permaculture workshops. And so one of the things that we're currently doing now is building on the directory, so that under every key pillar there'd be, here's your list of go-tos, and this is the state where they are, where you can find them. So that's what we're creating now, is our list of our go-to people. And so the syntropic farming, and it's all very, very important and wonderful.
Cool. And I've been assisting a lot of people now bringing in prefab housing, container forms of housing from China into Australia from all different ports. It seems to be a gravitation towards going for instant type housing. That profound form of construction seems to eliminate all the other costs that come from compliance and council regulations and all the other add-on costs from construction. It seems to be an instant fix at the moment. Have you found that in your part of the world?
A lot of people getting into tiny homes. A lot of people wanting to, find communities and existing communities, creating communities on people's property. And back in the day, one of the early summits that I did online, we did in 2022 and 2021 and 2022, we actually did 2 10-day summits. So 20 speakers over 10 days, twice a day we'd have a speaker. And one of those was a beautiful architect from Sydney. And she was talking about how you can build and create with geometry that really aligns with, the spirit, just allowing for flow and freedom and using those really beautiful natural fibers and natural materials, a lot of hemp. So I found that when I went to the Off-Grid Festival in Victoria, there was a few companies that were really producing a lot of hemp, good building quality materials now.
Right.
So if you can get your hands on those, they're really great.
So have you got anybody in the world of energy who sort of follows in the footsteps of Nikola Tesla and his free energy systems, and the guy come up with the J cell and all the other technologies, Rife systems?
Yes, but if we'd have to go under this, cover the code of silence to be able to share with you. They turn up at the Freedom Summit, and you can meet them in person and find out how they generate their energy and so forth. So, yeah.
Zoe got the guy Green from America. He's got the thunder generator. That's really phenomenal. Yeah. So
yes.
Moving along. So water. So when we look at our artesian basin here in Australia, or we're looking at our creeks and our river systems where there's pretty fresh water, and then you've got government regulations as to how much water you can take out of the water or the creek or the river, whatever. How have you come around to establish that with members of the hub or hubs, how to get good, clean water?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Anyone that lives on property will know that you don't really own 15 meters under the ground. That they own everything, right? So they're going to put restrictions on as much as they can, or have you have a license to have for everything, and have to tick the boxes for you to have any rights to your own property, and water included. So when it comes to something as simple as the 72-hour kit, we suggest to store water. When it comes to how do you how do you have water on your property? Everyone has to face that question for themselves. But we do within the prep matrix. There's the question that says, okay, well, what's the problem here? What resources do you have? What education do you need? I'm not going to sit here and suggest that I've solved that problem, because it's probably going to be different for different people. The solution to that. And as our hubs get going in, they're all in different stages of
product development.
Yeah, development in their own communities. Some in, really, really brand new. Then that's one of the questions that they need to tackle. Certainly food and water is possibly, the most important aspects that they probably want to tackle across the 8 key pillars. Maybe not. Maybe they've solved that and they want to move on to another question. But, even the rainfall, on the property that we're on, it's like, when it comes, you want to capture it as much as you can and then filter it. But one of the things that people really face is, how do we drink clean water? And so there's a lot of products out there that are all about restructuring the water that you have, filtering it in a way that it's more ionized, that you are getting the best quality water. That's where the conversation's at in our circles, is just making sure that we're drinking quality water, and not the town water that's dished up.
I mean, we had 3 of us took a catamaran and sailed from the Runaway Bay Gold Coast to Darwin. It was 68 days, and it was only when we got to marinas that we could top up. When we were running out of water, we had to go use the boat's saltwater generating system. But what happened was we started to get cramps, and it was because there was no minerals in the water. It's because the desalination had gone and taken it out. So that was really interesting from my perspective. If you start, playing around and trying to desalinate, you're missing out on all the minerals that are going into it. So
yes,
so you got to somehow or another rehydrate them. Yeah, that's an interesting concept, isn't it?
It really is, and it's one of the things that we kind of share that information around in our channel, so that people are learning, what's being taken out of our food, what are the processes that our food and our water has gone through, such that what have we got left? How do we then rework our nutrition so that we're staying as healthy as possible, and then not needing to go to the doctor and hospital as much, because we know more through nutrition what our body needs, and our body can be the healer.
100%. I noticed the guy in the United States, the guy Robert F. Kennedy there, and he made an announcement the other week about they've got to teach these doctors nutrition, getting away from chemical substances. And so the life force was coming back into the body through natural foods. But then we had a lady on here who lives in our area called Bronwyn Holm, who's got a product called Earth Foods, because it's based on her grandfather, and it's putting microbes back in the soil, because she said we haven't got much soil left in Australia, Jeff, and it's going to be depleted. We've probably got less than 20 years, if not less than that again. So her father was one who'd come up with this concept of putting the microbes back in the soil, and it aerates the soil, but it actually propagates the mineralization of the soil. Earth Foods, it's called. And she's shown some really remarkable instances on certain little small plots, even if it's a suburban block, or whether it's 1 acre or broad acre cropping. So the 1 litre of her product can be mixed with 60 litres of water, and the results are quite phenomenal. So,
I have heard of her product, and really needed, and especially where we are, the rainfall from pretty much last January through to August didn't stop raining. We were flooded in 6 times. And come to the summer, we thought, oh, well, with all that rain, we're going to have lots of, crops and grass. The grass is going to take off. It didn't, because it took off all the top soil and it made everything really dense underneath. And so, everything was really brown and dry. And so I can hear what you're saying, that we need to replenish that soil. And so her product is just phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, of course, if you take it to the next level, as she's mentioned, with cloud seeding, I mean, now you're putting chemicals in to create clouds, and that obviously is getting into the aquifers and obviously into our river systems, and as well as our soil. And so then we find out that the fertilizers there are actually helping to destroy the soil itself. So it's a case of regenerating, re-energizing the soil. So we are part of the food chain. Robert F. Kennedy's concept of having nutrition is highly recommended. It's just a matter we've got to go back to the farming and look after our farmers. Which, if
100%. I wish his policies would rub off on Australia. That'd be good. We have to take the power back in our own hands in the meantime.
Well, that's the benefit of having these little conversations that can be shared around the world. That's why I enjoyed Michael Gray Griffith. Have you come across Michael in this?
I have, yes.
But, yeah, so I've actually met him once at an event. Needless to say, that's a conversation off air. But we've had him on twice now, and what was quite remarkable was the fact that I said to him, Michael, you're probably the last investigative journalist in Australia, and I take my hat off to you. But I just want to let you know, 1 million people or thereabouts turned up in Canberra, and not once did mainstream media, that's television, radio or TV, promote Australians to go down to Canberra.
Yeah.
And yet there's another frequency. It's well above the mainstream media. It's operating on a different frequency. And those people around Australia picked up on that frequency and knew intuitively and instinctively to turn up in Canberra. And it's telling me we're fighting a spiritual war here. Yeah?
Yes. Well, that's the kind of people who My Self Reliance appeals to. Absolutely. There's the people who are open to the conversations about where does real change happen. And as much as we would like to shift the politicians and turn things around there, we need to take the power back in our own court in how we do it. And without the fight, I don't believe that we need to fight. We just need to have that good vibration that is attractive to people to want to live a better way. And but it's certainly I guess where at the Freedom Summit name came from, is that we want to live as free people in a beautiful Australia society. So that's why they all showed up to Canberra. It was like, hang on, what's going on here? And we have to take the power back. And so people have different ways of doing it. Some people want to take to the streets. I personally have stopped thinking that that's going to make any difference. I rather spend my energy on the things that I think will make a difference. And that's getting people to be proactive, not waiting as if, if we change the government's mind, they're going to make things better for us. No, we're going to make things better for us. And so that's what, My Self Reliance really stands for.
Really brilliant. Yeah, because it's a matter of playing a game of tennis, isn't it? So let's call it psychic tennis. So if I'm a bit pissed off with someone, I'll bloody go and whack it and try and get an ace and ace you out. But if you were good enough, you'd hit it back over the net. And so now we're dealing with the mathematical rule of my serve was 1. You get it, you send it back, becomes 2. And I'm getting it and thinking, where did that come from? So I send it back, and so now it becomes 4. You hit it back, and now we get to 8. So we get this whole realm going back and forth. We're playing around with energy, which is really negative, and we're giving our energy to something that we need to cut off at the very source. But what happens if I said to you, as in tennis, love 15, yeah, love 30, 15, 30, 30 all, juice. I mean, the whole thing is a positive thing where the love that goes from me to you receive it. You think, oh, that's bloody fantastic. So you send it back to where it came from, which is I get it. And I get double the wacky now because I send it to you, you send it back. And I think, hey, that's fantastic. I send it back to where it came from. So you now get that extra bloody woof. And so you think, oh, my God. And so you now uplift yourself. You get inspired. You don't have to say anything because now as you walk around, you meet other people and you just raise their vibration because all you do is you see that person in perfect love. And the question now is how you see that person in perfect love. And that's the conundrum. How do you focus on that love? I've watched how energy works, and there's nothing that surprises me when I see one of those big Pentecostal churches in America where they have 10,000 people in there, and they go through the healing book and they might say, Barbara's got hemorrhoids, and I'm thinking 10,000 people have just visualized Barbara with hemorrhoids. How about if you just change that whole subject and say Barbara's in our love book? Yeah, we've got all these people in the love book. It changes the whole energy. So I'm completely with you when you say don't give them any oxygen. It's grassroots level. Start with what you're doing, build up the network, and as a consequence, it is an automatic switch over to change over. And those people who felt that they were in charge had the power. Finally, I'm sorry, you don't have it, and you've got to learn how to go and live life again.
Do you know, add to that, how do we build that energy and share that love? And I teach this, and this is not a me concept. This is a very, very well-known, very old concept, but sometimes it's a good reminder, is that gratitude is the highest of all the attributes, and it's the vibration of gratitude that actually brings about more of what we really want. When we send it out, we get that back. And so we have a practice that we begin the day with gratitude, and also reframing some of the concerns and worries that we might come across. How can we reframe them through the eyes of gratitude? And we can do that very easily when we think about COVID, for example. A lot of terrible things happen in those days, and a lot of people's lives shifted. Mine certainly did, doing something completely different to what I was doing before. But that is a blessing as well. Like, the people that I've met since now I feel like we're actually doing what we're meant to be doing. Walking in and through our purpose is something that happened because of COVID. And so I'm very, very grateful for that. And so, wherever we see, injustices done or the circumstances don't look great, when we reframe it through gratitude, then we start to see there's new ways of doing things that we didn't see before. And so, that I think that's how we turn that, love 15, love 30 and double that,
Sure. So one of the things I have learned is that we've slowly but surely stepping out of the world of the game of Monopoly, which is all about acquisitions and really, property and all that stuff. And can't take it with you, can you?
Can take it with you, nah. And so I say the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your relationships. And so, we are all at different levels of this understanding, but to me, becoming self-reliant is, you can't do it on your own. It has to be within communities, because you can't know everything and do everything by yourself. And so having really great relationships with especially the people in your community is what's going to ultimately get you through the tough times.
Sure. Now, Michael Gray Griffin, when I spoke to him in when did I speak to him? February. now, so I've just got it. It was last year. It was in December. That's right. Anyway, so I spoke to him and he said, "Hey, Jeff," he said, "I did a 24-hour show." I said, 24 hours? He said, "Yeah." I had all these different guests that we've had over the years come in and they did their segment. And he said, "I reached out to this guy in the UK and he covered for us while we were asleep." I said, "Okay." He said, "Oh, yeah, we had 27,000 people come in and watched. Wasn't that fantastic?" He said, "You know what that guy did? He rang me up in November, because that was in October. He said, 'Michael,' he said, 'I like what you did.' He said, 'I'm going to do it here in December. And I want you to do our nighttime shift.'" And he said, "We got 48,000 people, Jeff." I said, "Fantastic." And I said, that's the new medium, mate. That's the jigsaw puzzle. People have been out there and all of a sudden they felt that they were just one little piece and they didn't realize where they were in the big cog of things. But you just, your guy in the UK have just gone and done. You've just gone and put the whole jigsaw puzzle together and say, you're not alone. You've got this whole global community who understands what's going on, and they're rising up to say, enough's enough, and we're going to be doing this ourselves. We can't rely on the government. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, bloody brilliant.
Yeah.
So yours is on a Tuesday night, yeah?
Yes, we're on a Tuesday night, and so the 3rd of February will be our first Tuesday night back this year, so we don't have a guest speaker every week. We did that last year, but this year we're having a guest speaker the 1st and the 3rd Tuesday of the month, and then the other 2 Tuesdays is for our members.
So Tuesday night, and that's 7 o'clock New South Wales time, yeah?
7 o'clock Queensland time, 8 o'clock New South Wales time.
All right, just make a note of that. 8 p.m. New South Wales. And how do they go and get to see you? Where are we? They
get the link now. We're doing something a bit different. So we've always been on Zoom. And so you could easily get the Zoom link by visiting our Telegram channel, because we post that up there. So the My Self Reliance Telegram channel, or Self Reliance and Food Storage on chat group. That's probably the easiest way. Or you should be able to find it on the website. But we're actually going to try out a new platform that may be off Zoom, a bit more secure, and so there's people in our community with new technologies that we're trying out. So if you want to join up, then find us either on Telegram or on the website. I would say. It's not there yet. This is the old. So far the old link is there. We're in beta trial testing at the moment, but we will have it up there very shortly.
I'll go there. Contact us. I can go there. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, that's the way.
Now, is there anything that I should have asked you that I haven't asked you? Is there something that you would like to speak about or talk?
Yeah, good question. This year we are, rather than having a 3-day summit like we had last year, we're actually going to have a 1-day expo in Sydney, but we're actually moving, expanding to Queensland. And so we've worked out today that we're going to have an expo in maybe around the Sunshine Coast around the 25th of August. And they're also appearing at the Living Free Festival on the 11th of September. And then we'll be in Sydney in October for our expo in Sydney. So stay tuned to those dates. And then we're also having retreats. So I'd mentioned that I own a glamping retreat property. And so we're bringing a series of retreats to the property, a bit more deep dive into some of our wonderful skills And so all that information will be going up on the website very soon. But in addition to that, if people really want to get involved, the membership for My Self Reliance gets you being part of our hubs. So wherever you are, we create the hubs, and we create access for you to have. Sorry, so you can access our experts and our support and get on that journey to self-reliance. And it's only for $59 a year. And if you want to become a hub leader, and that's something that you want to pursue, that you get extra training and benefits, that's $79, and you get that jigsaw. It's a full week of jigsaw with me, and I give you the training, and there it is there, or $7 a week. And yeah, we really love to partner with you and have you on board. It's lots of fun.
Fantastic. Very good. Well, I appreciate Zoe reaching out and tapping you on the shoulder and say, come on. Fantastic. Really appreciate it.
And Zoe joined because she wanted to be. She's one of our hub leaders, in fact.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if we've made that clear before, but she's so she did the jigsaw program, and it's so wonderful that I get to spend an hour every morning between 6 and 7:30 with our whoever does the jigsaw. And it's some beautiful time that we create together and coach together, and so it's all happening.
So whereabouts are you? Are you north of Sydney? Are you up towards Port Macquarie way, are you?
I am. If you know where Foster is, I'm inland from Foster. I'm actually, if you go to Foster and then go, the town south of Foster is called Bulladila. From Bulladila, I'm 20 minutes off the freeway in a little place called Warranalla. You can look up Lily Pond's Retreat, and that's you'll see. And if you go to Google Maps of Lily Pond's Retreat, there's lots of beautiful photos there. Or lilyponds.com.au is our website. But I prefer the photos on the Google Maps. Gives you a good look at what we do, what we have to offer. There we are.
Very good.
So this is, our glamping tents, our mineral pool and spa. They have flushable toilets and showers in every tent. So it's a bit glampy.
Oh, well done. I mean, everybody loves a fire, right?
Loves it. Yes, we love it. And we have farm animals too. So fresh eggs. Yeah. It's just, it's fun to wake up every day to, the land.
Of course.
With a big, that's what you can see, that building there in the green. That's our communal hall, and in there's the pool table and lounge, dining, cooking facilities, and a good gatherings place. So rain, hail, or shine, we offer something for everyone.
Very good. So that's Lily Ponds. Got that spot.
So if anyone's inspired by, anything I've said or wants to be a part of it, we are obviously looking to gather more people together, and would love you to get involved. So, yeah.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it, and love your work, and it's love all.
Thank you, Jeffrey. We really appreciate being on tonight, and continue the great work you do.
well, we'll send you a link so you can utilize it for your YouTube channel or whatever you want to do. So fantastic. All right. Love you. If no one else tells you today. Yeah.
Thank you. Love you lots. Thank you.
Bye.
See you next